Hello, welcome to Edge of Stone Sisters. My name is Sarah Ferber. I am an artist, I'm a visual artist. I primarily specialize in collage and using recycled materials, painting, abstract landscapes, faces, all kinds of whimsical, colorful stuff. I am also the mom of two adult children, a wife, and I am a friend and cohort of the next person you're about to meet.
I guess that's me. So my name is Kathy Malcolmson. I am primarily an educator. I worked in early intervention. I was a special instructor working in early intervention for 30 years, which means that I worked with babies and the families of babies. If those babies had developmental delays or were at risk of that, and I would help those families develop techniques to help their babies grow and develop well. I am a mother of three adult children, ages 24 to 30, and an adult stepson who is 35. And I think that's a good start. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what?
Wait, I left out stuff about me. Now we have to go back to me. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. I forgot.
Back to Sarah.
One incredibly important thing is an immense dog lover. And I have a wonderful 10-year-old dog who thinks he's a puppy. Right. Although he thinks he's my husband's dog, my husband's his favorite. But anyway, that's very, very important. That will come up again and again. I am a tremendous dog lover. And hearing you speak reminded me to share that I had for 10 years, before COVID, for 10 years, I worked in a senior center, at a senior center, doing a lot of expressive arts with seniors. So that is another one of my loves and specialties.
Okay, good. So I guess along those lines, I would say that I don't currently have any pets, although I have had in the past, but I do have at least 50 house plants. I'm a little bit obsessed with my house plants. Like I basically check them all every day. And also, although I'm not working in early intervention now, I don't see any babies or families. I'm involved in a limited basis with training special ed teachers, a job that I do by Zoom a couple of times a year. And now, shall I talk about Edge of Stone Sisters?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, Sarah and I have been friends for a very long time. And we started to talk about doing this podcast. And pretty much as soon as she said, what should the name be? This phrase popped into my head, Edge of Stone Sisters. And it really started with the sisters because we've known each other so long and we've been so close that we are essentially sisters. And then the Edge of Stone was just like there for no apparent reason. But when I thought about it, I thought it was kind of intriguing. And then I started to think about what it actually might say about us, our friendship, what we want to do in this podcast, and all of these things can have various connotations. But the edge is like being on the edge, looking over into the vast universe and thinking and talking about what we see together. And the stone is the solidity of the earth, of stone, of us, of our friendship, of life. And so I think that's about it. We're on the edge of the stone. Together, we're sisters. So I don't think I've ever said all of that to you, Sarah. So what do you think about it?
Oh, I love it. And I think that it's like we can, even when we're on the edge, it's solid in stone. I think of the stone as it's how solidly connected we are no matter what, and how we can talk about anything with each other and how we can disagree and debate. And that's part of the solidity of our friendship. Mm-hmm. So that was part of my interpretation. And then I keep thinking of the word clarity, being very clear And the word edge of stone, it makes me think of something that is incredibly clear.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah. See, I now it's the whole thing makes even more sense than we ever imagined.
And to say more about each other, when we say we go way back, we have known each other since freshman year of high school. I, in particular, had a very rocky time in my teen years, with lots of troubles. My father died, all kinds of stuff happened, and Kathy was one of the immensely bright lights of that time, and of course, for decades. But that is one huge memory for me.
Yes, and a huge memory for me. I don't know if you remember this specific thing, but I clearly remember the first time, I really believe it's the first time that we had an actual conversation with each other. We were sitting on a bus together, like on our way to a field trip. And we just kind of randomly wound up sitting next to each other and started to talk. That's my memory of our first conversation, deep conversation. Whether or not it's actually true or not, that's, I've always thought of it that way.
I have some memory of sitting on a rock talking to you. So I wonder if that's very interesting. I wonder if that's the same. I just see us in our schoolgirl uniforms, which we did have, everybody, sitting on a rock and chatting with you.
So you're saying even then we were on the edge of the stone?
Yes. It all started back then. It was just predestined.
Okay. So another interesting response I might make to what you were saying about us, about your time, your teen years, is that I think at the time I thought that I was a very stable kind of okay teenager. But when I look back, I can see more clearly the flaws in that reasoning.
Oh, I think you've always had a certain groundedness. I that's just my honest opinion. You've always had a certain very innate groundedness that throughout your whole life.
Well, but looking back, I think that was more facade than
my husband. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
I just had to interject. My husband says that being married to me is like being married to a clown.
I don't know how that fits exactly into the conversation at this moment, but yes, I could imagine that Don would say that. And why? Yeah.
To be continued.
Okay.
That topic is to be continued.
Maybe that's a future podcast episode. I don't know. We'll see. Now what? Do you want to talk more specifically about our lives and who we are, or shall we say now we'll go right into the topic?
I just want to add that our intention is to cover topics from A to Z, all kinds of topics, and in particular, that which may not be commonly talked about in our current times.
Right.
We won't be focusing on things that are talked about constantly. We'll be coming up with new topics and our own individual takes on those topics.
Right. So not a lot of discussion about the current political landscape that you read in the newspapers every day, other kinds of topics. Is that right?
Other kinds of topics that impact our lives, our imaginations, our thought processes, our dynamics with our loved ones, all those topics. Now let's just jump in.
Now we're going to talk about people sleeping together.
Well, that's a little kinky. I thought we were going to talk about sleep.
Sleeping together. That's what I said.
The issue of sleep together versus not together.
Right. Sleeping together, not necessarily about having sex together with each other.
Right.
People who love each other.
When does it reach the point that you need to consider having your own bedroom because of insomnia issues?
Or should it ever?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think absolutely, if somebody is not sleeping 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nights in a row, or they're only sleeping at 20% capacity, they have to at least try or open the door, so to speak, on the possibility of having their own room. So I'm
Okay,
talking
well,
about severe cases.
now I want to insert my story here, right?
Mhm.
Because I've been married 31 years. Have a good relationship with my husband. And I started to be very insomniac. I was not sleeping, like I was up for hours and hours. And he was yelling at me that I was awake and it was bothering him. And after a few weeks of that, I said, okay, there's another room here. Go sleep in the other room. I have to work this out myself. I have to figure out how to get myself to sleep better. And you're just like a distraction. So he did that. He went in the other room. He started sleeping in the other room. But I didn't feel like I wanted that to be a permanent arrangement. Even though there's some things I liked about kind of having my own space. Like when he got tired, he would go in the other room and I would have my own space, like even before I started to try to sleep. But I didn't want that to be permanent because I feel like it's the end of something important in the relationship, important to us, to just never share a bed for sleeping. So we started thinking about all the reasons why I might be having trouble sleeping, why I might be having trouble sleeping with him. I adjusted a lot of different factors, and at some point, really concluded that we're sleeping in a queen size bed, but it's not big enough because I needed to toss and turn a lot before I went to sleep, and that's what was bothering him to start with. I mean, later on, I would be awake, and then trying to sleep again and like waking him up in the middle. But anyway, so then I decided that we should be looking for a king size bed. So, I mean, this is good. We're lucky that we could afford that. Eventually, we did buy a king size bed, and it really has made a difference in terms of how much I disturb him. So since we got the king size bed, we started sleeping together again every night. I am sleeping much better on the whole, not just because of the king size bed, but because of other factors that I adjusted. And so far, so good. For the last month or so, we are sleeping in the same bed every night. But I could have easily said, you know what? Sleeping separately is fine. Like, what's the big deal? A lot of people do. A lot of people sleep separately, even though they love each other, even though they're together. And it works out for them. But I didn't feel like I wanted that to be permanent. So I had to figure out if there were ways that we could work it out.
I think I'm glad to hear you're sleeping better. I think there's many reasons that the sleeping in separate rooms could work. So if a couple has drastically different schedules or drastically different morning styles of what they want to do and when they first get up, and there's lots of things. But I want to do a pop quiz. This is a little contest between you and I. The question is, what are the things you can do when you wake up in the middle of the night to go back to sleep? And I want to do it in the style of, I'll say one thing, you say one thing. The first person to run out loses.
To run out?
There has to
run
be,
out of what?
There has to be a run out of ideas. Or I should say, no losers. The other person's the winner. Okay. All right. You ready?
Okay.
I'm going to start. All right. So in the middle of the night, this is not about going to sleep initially. This is when you wake up in the middle of the night. And it has to be something you do, not something a friend does. It has to be something you do. So I'll start. When I am up in the middle of the night, I take a sock off.
Okay.
So that I only have one sock on, one sock off.
Okay, that's bizarre, but okay. I take both socks off. Your turn.
I hug my pillow. I have two pillows and I hug the bigger pillow.
I think of songs. I start singing songs in my head, songs that I know the lyrics to, which is exactly 3 songs.
I'll ask you about those songs later. I think of nonsensical things, like things that have nothing to do with logistics or reality, but just silly. Maybe I do my own version. If I'm obsessed with a TV show, I'll do my own version of the ending. just to put myself in kind of fantasy land.
Okay, so I think of a letter, like say the letter is D, and then I have to make a 5-word sentence in which every word starts with the letter D. So it might be daring dogs do darned see, this is what happened. So like
Dances.
in my head,
Do
darn
what?
dances. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So daring dogs do darn dances. Like it doesn't have to make sense, but it has to kind of be sort of grammatically correct. Okay, so I start doing that for different letters.
Oh, I love that. I want to play that game with you another time. Period.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. Remind me about the letter J. I have a game I want to play with you when we're not on Zoom about the letter J. Okay. So I actually hold my own hand.
Oh, I've done that.
Helps my nervous system.
I've done that.
Like it really helps my nervous system. It seems to regulate my nervous system.
That's interesting because I've done that and I don't know that I've ever read anything about that anywhere ever. Like
I have
what it means to hold your own hand and what it feels like and what it means and why it would be comforting.
Yeah, it works for me.
But
works for me.
It's also interesting because I think I used to do that more when I slept alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do it so much now that we're sleeping together. But the other interesting thing about sleeping together in a king size bed is it really makes a big difference in terms of space. I almost don't know he's there.
Wow.
Like I could be laying down and reach my arm out full length and not know for sure if he's in the bed.
Well, I can see that can help a tosser and turner.
Yeah.
I see how that can help.
It helps.
Now, are we counting the hand holding for you? Was that your turn? We count that for you?
I don't know. What are the rules? Can you say the same thing?
We're making them up as we go along. This is the first time we're making them up and we're going to be changing them.
Well, okay. In that case, then it's my turn.
Okay.
That was my turn. It's your turn.
That was your turn. Very good. I agree. Well, I'll do an extension of that, of the hand holding. I hug myself, especially, I'm sure this happens, especially in the colder weather, but hugging myself, it really does it for me. It really helps me go back to sleep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try and think of something else now because, number one, I don't do that. And number two, this may be moving in a risque direction that we don't want to.
You can take it somewhere else now.
So what else do I do to try and get to sleep when I'm awake in the middle of the night? I have actually taken a bath.
Wow. And that helps you go back to sleep.
Well, I mean, technically it's supposed to help you get to sleep to begin with, but I have to be pretty desperate to like get out and, fill the bathtub. But that's happened.
Impressive.
It's happened.
That's impressive. Wow. I try not to even open an eye when I'm in the middle of the night. Like I literally try to keep my eyes glued.
Yeah, but I could be laying there for a long time like that with my eyes closed and just, literally hours. So I always think that I have to do something.
Well, I have a controversial one next, which is I go, if I'm up for more than half an hour or 40 minutes, and I don't look at the clock ever, that's a big rule for me.
Yes.
I never, ever look at the clock. But if I'm up for a while, I will actually resort to grabbing my phone because I know everyone says not to do things like that. No screen time before bed, no screen time in the middle of the night. But for me, if I play solitaire, the Scrabble games are maybe too engaging, but the solitaire is hypnotic for me.
See, I think Scrabble is relaxing because the other thing I might do is play Candy Crush. And I think Candy Crush is too like nutty and busy.
Mm-hmm.
So then I would rather play Scrabble. But once you pick up your phone, don't you know what time it is?
No, I have trained my eyes to not look at the time. I swear to you, when I hold the phone, I just look at the solitaire. And sometimes I do play a certain word game I may play. Again, if the solitaire doesn't work, I'll graduate to the word game because I might as well do something fun if I'm awake. Which,
Okay.
full disclosure to everybody, I am blessed with this huge ability to go back to sleep and to sleep and to sleep in all kinds of circumstances. And I am one of the absolute blessed ones. So I
Right.
have to be honest about that.
So
But
you
I
have
do
no
wake up a
credibility.
lot.
You have no credibility in this discussion.
No, I wake
whatsoever.
up a lot. No, my credibility is I can
Oh,
wake
you
up.
go to sleep, but then
I
you
wake
don't
up,
wake up.
I can go to sleep and I always get some sleep, but I can wake up 5 to 10 times a night.
Okay.
That's my thing.
Okay.
Your turn.
Oh, what else do I do? I thought like I should get at least 3 turns for saying take a bath, but okay. Um, no, I do that thing that I read in the article that you gave me, which is similar to the sentence thing, but it's just to think of a word like garden
Mhm.
and start with the letter G and just think of random words
Mhm.
that start with G.
Mhm.
You know, garden, goose, and like stupid things too, goo goo and geography and like whatever until I run out and then I go to the next letter A.
Wow, I want to do all these things when I'm awake. Yeah. um, more games for us to play.
But
I have to go back.
I just want to say one more thing about the screen thing, because
Okay.
my friend loaned me a book about, I think the title of the book is actually Power Sleep
Mm.
from some doctor researchist. He actually said that it's okay to watch TV before you fall asleep as long as it's a comedy. And I like that.
I always can watch TV before I go to sleep. I don't follow many rules. I can have coffee at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I can't do that.
That's why I'm saying I use the word blessed, because that I can't have coffee at 9 p.m. I could up until I was 55, maybe.
Yeah.
But I can't anymore. But yeah. So I have to go back to hugging, because my next one is that I hug my teddy bear.
Oh, okay. So it's your pillow, yourself, your teddy bear.
Right. And they're different. I mean, obviously they're different. But the teddy bear, it's I have my main teddy bear, Bixby. And the teddy bear, I'll kind of say something to him and hug, he's my main squeeze.
All right. Now on that topic, like you hugged on.
In the middle of the night, I'm not bothering that man. I'm letting him sleep. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I'm letting him sleep. Like he's pretty good. I toss and turn a lot more than he does. And in fact, my craziest moments in the middle of the night, or if he's so still, and I'll think, oh my God, is he breathing? I have like acute anxiety sometimes about that. And sometimes I'll put my ear near his chest, or I'll just try to see the up and down of the breathing. But a couple of times, maybe only 2 times he doesn't even know this probably, in the last year, I've just touched his foot to see if it'll move. So I do wake him up. In extreme cases, I wake him up. And it's just like an anxiety thing I have. But on the other hand, if he's snoring or making too much noise, that sucks. So yeah, the happy medium is I want him to breathe in the middle of the night in a way that I can gently hear him and know that he's breathing.
So he has to make exactly the right amount of noise
louder than
while he's asleep and breathing. Exactly the right amount.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure he's on board with that.
We haven't discussed it yet. And we got to save some things, more
to.
topics for the future after all this time together.
Well, whose turn is it?
Your turn. Always.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that every once in a while I do hug John, even though he's pretty clear about the fact that he'd rather I didn't, which is not nice. Because I think that really helps me. Even if it's just like 1 minute, I think that helps me.
I'm beginning to think we should this would never work. We should just get on the phone and play a word game in the middle of the night. No, that would never work.
No, that would never work. Not for actual sleeping.
Where are you going right now?
Sorry, I heard John talking to somebody outside and I wanted to see who it was. Sorry about that.
Okay. So I'm trying to think. the other thing I do when I think this brings us to an interesting general topic is I'll monitor whether I'm too hot or too cold. So I often go to sleep in layers, and then I'll take, if I can't sleep, usually taking something off.
Yes.
And then putting the cool sheet against my skin tends to help me. It's rarely that I need to put something on. It's usually that I need to take something off.
Well, along those lines, I would take off my nightshirt.
Yeah, so along that, yeah. And I'm trying to think, okay, I'm not letting you
John
win
wants
this.
to know
I am
why-
the blessed sleeper, so you are not going to win this. I have to come up with another one right now.
John wants to know why all of a sudden, after 31 years of marriage in our 60s, now I want to take off my nightshirt in bed. And what was wrong with you?
Yeah, I can understand that. Did you change with all this after menopause? Meaning like that you need more coolness in your sleep?
Probably, but I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly when I started to have trouble sleeping, but it was in my old house for a while, like at least a couple of years. So that makes it at least 6 years ago.
I think it was
That's way
longer.
after menopause.
I remember it being longer. I think it was more than 6 years ago that some of it started. I think it was, I could be all wrong, but in my mind, I think it was episodic originally. You hit a period where something was going on in your life and you had more trouble sleeping.
Right. Well, yeah.
And then it went from episodic to chronic.
It became chronic here. And I think that's because I was retired, because I'm retired.
Right.
And if I don't sleep, I have the
You're not
option.
fully retired. You do some stuff. No.
No, I am
labels.
Retired. Well, no.
Faulty labels.
Okay.
Faulty
so
labels.
I work a total part-time on my computer at most a few hours a day for about 12 weeks a year. That's the extent of my
But I just wanted to
work.
clear that up. I want to have maximal accuracy.
Yeah, but the point of what I was saying was that before that, I had to get up and go somewhere.
So that helped you sleep.
Yeah, because I mean, if I had a hard time sleeping and I had to get up and go for the entire day, the next night I would be asleep. Now
I get it.
I'll get tired in the middle of the day, then I'll nap, then that's it.
That's a whole issue of to nap or not to nap. All right, we're going to call it a draw. I don't know. Was it my turn or your turn?
I don't know.
I don't know what the rules are, but we're going to call it a draw.
Okay.
We could probably find ways to go on and on.
Yes.
Deep breathing, prayer, humming. Like I can't really hum.
No,
Humming may help, but I don't think I can do the humming. Unless I'm touching his leg to make sure he's breathing properly.
No, John wouldn't.
Then I can
the humming.
No humming.
No humming.
No humming.
I've tried deep breathing.
Okay.
I don't really do that well with deep breathing. It doesn't help.
What 2 deep breaths help me? Excessive, no. I have a lot of issues about breathing. I have a lot of rules about breathing.
That could be a whole conversation in itself.
Well, and then there's so much we could do. This is like people have all kinds of stuff about pillows and pillowcases and like the type, like some people sleep better when they buy a new pillow.
Yeah.
Like if we were going to take this into another area of like what other people do and not just us.
No, my friend bought her husband a satin pillowcase because he was insisting that his hair was getting stuck on his pillow and pulling, and that was waking him up.
Wow. Don has such sensitive skin. My husband has such sensitive skin that we started buying him a few years ago satin pillowcases for 2 reasons. He gets so hot at night, he needs a cooling pillowcase. And his facial skin is very sensitive. And something about the silk pillowcase helps him.
See, I didn't know that about Don.
Yeah.
So we've been talking for 25 minutes. We originally said 10.
I just wanted to say a couple of more things. I have one friend, I won't say who she is, but I didn't ask any permission, but who does sleep in a separate room than her husband and does really well with it. It works for her in terms of having, and it works for them. They have different sleep schedules. They have completely different sleep schedules, and it just works for them. And so I really do think that it's a very individual decision.
Oh, sure. And I think like more people do it than you would expect.
Then we realize.
We'll talk about it, which is why we're talking about it.
Right. Yeah. No, I think more people do it than we realize. I can't imagine ever doing it all the time. I can imagine doing it as an as needed basis personally. So if I was going through something and I just needed either physically or mentally, and I just needed my own space for a while and would sleep better.
Well, one thing about the king size bed is now that I've spent the money to buy a king size bed, I feel very motivated to make that work. Like if I spent all that money on a king size bed and wound up in that bed by myself, that would bother me. So
that makes sense. But I guess
I'm really motivated to make it work.
So you have the motivation to make it work.
But I am sleeping better. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something else. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'd love to hear from you, our listeners, with any questions, any thoughts, responses, and comments, and also any ideas you might have for future episodes.
Yes, and you can reach us at stonesisterspodcast@gmail.com. That's Stone Sisters Podcast, all one word, @gmail.com. And we'd really love to hear from you.